bit of confidence with a little common sense. Let your soul glow bright, my friend. No regrets when the story ends. Respect will take you far. Turn on your je ne sais quoi. Honesty, show who you are. The lights are on, shine like a star. This is amazing, yeah. So amazing, yeah. Amazing. Living this amazing moment. This is amazing, yeah. So amazing, yeah. Amazing. Living this amazing moment. Can't fight the feeling. You know it when you feel it. You're one in a million. Living this amazing moment. This is amazing, yeah. So amazing, yeah. Amazing. Living this amazing moment. Living this amazing moment.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ron Clark Academy Amazing Shake competition. We are live here at RCA. I'm Kirk Brown, Chief Development Communications Officer here at RCA.
And I'm Kim Beard, the co-founder and executive director, and we are so excited. This is our Super Bowl of soft skills right here.
Absolutely.
Happening.
Oh my goodness, the biggest day of the year for these students. There are lots of things that students can get engaged with at RCA, from athletics to different clubs. Today is one of those days where students are just like, yes, the Amazing Shake is my thing.
Well, the thing that is really important is that this is where we do emphasize students' ability to interview, to shake someone's hand, look someone in the eye, to be able to share their ideas. So no matter what career, whatever field they go into, this is something that will benefit all of them, no matter what their gifts and talents are.
Yes, these are skills that they would take with them for life. And I love to say that this Amazing Shake, this program that we've created, are the seeds that you plant in students that they will continue to use and that will continue to bear fruit and to grow leaves and trees for years to come, which is so incredible.
Which is really exciting because we do have, our oldest alumni now are approaching 30, and
Yes.
and many of them have shared with me that the time that they were here, what they learned in middle school, I don't even think it fully registered until they were out in the corporate world. They were out trying to be entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
pitch their ideas. The confidence that they gained here in middle school, they said, has set them apart, even in their college classrooms. And so it is a gift that we're giving them. They can be their very best self. They can take this with them wherever they go.
Yeah, so before we talk about what the Amazing Shake is, actually, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors for this year. For the Amazing Shake 2024, I want to give a shout out to Austin and Bird, Wilmington Trust, as you see there on the screen, Bath and Body Works, Delta Community Credit Union, and also Sunny. As you see, Austin and Bird is going to be one of the rounds here. Delta Community Credit Union, thank you so much for sponsoring this year. Sunny's Barbecue, the final round that's going to be happening on Wednesday evening this year. Bath and Body Works, a new sponsor for the Ron Clark Academy
So
Amazing
excited
Shake.
about that.
So excited to have them. Then also Wilmington Trust, who is a new sponsor as well. So incredible folks who've come together to make the Amazing Shake possible. So definitely want to give a shout out to them at the top of the show.
That's right. And so if you look around behind us, we are in our gymnasium, but it has been transformed to New York City. And part of being able to do that does require some expenses. And so we're so grateful to our sponsors for that, but also because of the community volunteers who have come here to help make this gauntlet happen. So let's kind of tell you what is actually happening in the room behind us. So we start with the gauntlet round at the Amazing Shake. Every single student must come here and they must go through 21 stations. And at these stations, every single place that requires them to do something where they're going to engage with another person from the community, a business leader, they're going to be interviewed in some way, they have to be able to speak about a different topic. But this time there's a unique little twist because it's a simulation that they are going on a trip to New York City.
Yes, as soon as they walk in, immediately they walk up to a Delta counter and they're talking to real folks who work at Delta about where their trip is going to be, about their reservation, and then they walk up and they have to check in, and it continues on throughout all the way into New York City. And they've got to hail a cab and all these different things. But the whole gauntlet, as Kim mentioned, is themed around New York City. How can the students navigate, right? We want to give them skills not only to navigate in their city, but if they take a domestic trip somewhere, how they navigate around that and around that city as well.
Absolutely, and literally they're going to have to navigate because there is a place where there's a subway station, there's a subway map, and somebody's asking them for directions how to get to a certain place.
Most definitely.
We'll see how well they've done and prepped to read that subway map. But along the way, we do have some challenges to try to make it realistic, but also to try to make it fun. These are students after all, and we do want to sort of gamify it in a sense. And so, for example, when they check in at the Delta counter, the very first thing is they can't find their reservation. It's happened to the best of us. And so
Where
So
is my
how do
ticket?
they handle that? Do
Yeah.
they handle that with poise, with grace? Are they patient while the person there at the check-in counter tries to seek their reservation? And then when they go to check in to get on the plane, well, then of course they need to check their luggage because the plane is full.
Yeah.
How do they handle that? So throughout the gauntlet, when they check into their hotel, they're going to have to wait because the room is not ready.
Not ready? How do they handle that?
How do they handle that?
Yeah.
So do they handle that with grace? Every score that they get is based on 1 through 20 at every station. Now you hear a gong going off behind us every minute. That is because every minute the students advance to another station. There are a couple of stations this year though that are 2 or 3 minutes
2 or 3
long.
minutes, yeah, a little bit longer, just to kind of give the students a little bit more time to really test on their depth of knowledge around a particular topic. And you may say, okay, what are these topics? Well, it varies from AI to politics, and these are all topics that we've discussed as a school in school-wide meetings where we really believe that students should understand what's happening around the world. So we are really intentional about teaching about current events and making sure that our students are tapped in with what's happening here locally, around the nation, also around the world.
Exactly. One of the stations, they're interviewing to be a reporter with the New York Times, and so the question becomes, are you fearful that perhaps ChatGPT, if AI, would replace your job in the future? What do they feel about that? How do they handle that situation?
So all kinds of different challenges here, and at the sort of the base, the foundation of the Amazing Shake, we really want to test students on how well are they able to present themselves, give a firm handshake, look folks in the eye when they're having conversation, their presentation skills, how graceful they are, their poise, their charisma. And so while they're having these different stations, the judge is really kind of paying attention to those skills as well to see how the students really incorporate those important skills that they will take with them for life.
That's right, and so they receive a score from 1 to 20, or actually from 0 to 20. You can get a 0 at a station.
You can get a 0, yes.
and I was outside listening to Mr. Clark talk to our community sponsors, judges, the people who've come here to help us today, because they are the ones who are giving the scores. And he said, please, if a child says, I'm not prepared, the child doesn't answer, the child doesn't participate, it's a 0, because not because we're trying to be cruel, but we're trying to say, we're trying to prep you for the real world, and to improve, you've got to realize where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are. Afterward, after the students complete the gauntlet, the judges all have a debrief with the students where they talk about things students did well and some things that students need to work on.
Yeah, I always say that that's the most important part of the Amazing Shake competition. It's one thing to kind of go through this. It's fun, yeah, it's kind of nerve-wracking for students. They get to build on these skills, but the feedback at the end of the gauntlet and at the end of every round when we go to different rounds in the city is so important, because the kids need to know, okay, I did this well, let me double down on this, or, oh, I didn't think about that, maybe I need to pull back on something. And so that feedback is so critical, and we love when the judges are able to kind of give that feedback to the students.
Absolutely, and to prepare for today, the students had the opportunity to know about some stations. They knew that in some stations there were going to be certain challenges that they were able to study for, prep for, but the majority of the stations, they're walking in blind. So when they walk up, they have no idea what's about to happen, but they do know they have to engage, be very gracious, be very poised, be able to be very charming. And I got to tell you, those 2 or 3 minute rounds, I bet those seem like an eternity when you know you're being judged on everything that you're doing in the moment, right?
Yeah, especially if you're trying to, answer a question, but then also all these thoughts are running through your head. Okay, am I connecting with the judge here? Am I saying the right thing? Am I being myself? And so we just try to encourage the kids, like, just be yourself, have natural conversation. Yes, it's a competition, but at the end of the day, we want to see who you are as a person. Let that shine through, right? There's only one you. Be you.
The students who always score the highest or always do the best are the ones who are very natural. They don't, they're not robotic when they are shaking hands and things like that. And that's a learned skill. And of course, they all kind of start off that way, but then they start to learn, oh, I should just be myself, be natural. I love seeing at the stations where students are making people laugh. Just a moment ago, I saw Cyan checking in at the Delta counter, and I don't know what she said, but she got a good laugh from the judges. And I think, who doesn't want to laugh? So she must have said something quite charming when she was there.
Yeah, you've definitely got to build that personable rapport with the judges, right? How are you able to connect with them? And definitely laughing is a key skill. That charisma. Oh, you got me laughing? I'm giving you a high score. You're likable. I enjoy the conversation. And so that's definitely something that the kids have to keep in mind as well.
And also how to be memorable. So, you've got 150 kids coming through the gauntlet here.
Yes.
How are you going to be set apart and not give the same kind of answer that every other student has given? What's going to make you say something that's going to remain with the judges, and they're going to be able to call you out by name when we have the debrief? That's always really impressive when they do that.
Definitely is. So this entire gauntlet is a huge operation. I want to give a shout out to our parents who are here helping to sort of guide. Our parents cannot be judges, right?
Cannot score, cannot judge.
Yeah, they cannot score.
Can't coach from the sidelines like in a soccer game. Can't do that.
But it's a logistical sort of undertaking to ensure that all the kids are going the right way. So I want to give a shout out to our parents for doing that. But then also we got a lot of different community folks, volunteers from the corporate community, the philanthropic community, the business community, and they're all here to judge our students, to volunteer, to give back to them, to pour into them. So I want to give a shout out to them because it really takes a huge team to make this happen. And then also our production team who help us make this whole production happen. So Media Team Go, we appreciate them. Cam, David on our production team here in house. I mean, all the folks. Hutch.
Latasha, Louise, and Hutch for the beautiful visuals and things that you see behind you, and Cookie and Ethan from our team.
Yes.
We do have to give a shout. We have such an incredible staff here because they put this all together this weekend, and it's incredible.
Really, really is. So I also want to give a shout out to a lot of schools. I know that you all are watching this morning with your classes, so I want to give a shout out to you. Y'all make some comments, throw some hearts, some excitement in the comments. We know that you're watching with your classes all around the country and around the world this morning as well. And so we are so excited to have y'all. I know a lot of you are going to be coming to the global competition happening in March as well. So a shout out to all of you who are tuning in this morning. And then, of course, the parents. Parents at work,
Put your baby's
home.
name
Yes.
in the chat here. Put your baby's name in there. Give them a shout out with some hearts because you know they're going to look at it later and be able to see it. You know, if we look at camera number 1 right here, we look like there's Will looks like he's having breakfast at Tiffany's.
Breakfast at Tiffany's, yes. And he's there having a great conversation. And he's got to figure out, too, how to use proper etiquette. One of the skills that we prepared our students beforehand was you've got to know how to use proper etiquette. When you sit at a table, where does a napkin go? Which cup do you use? How do you use a fork?
Which one of those glasses and which one is your bread plate?
Right. B and D, which one is it, right? So the kids have had to prepare and to sort of come to the gauntlet understanding those things. And the judges are looking and paying attention to those pieces as well. I mean, just all kinds of different stations here in the gauntlet, which is just a fun morning for them.
You know, some of the fun ones to me, too, is that there is actually a car where they're going to get in and have a Uber or Lyft driver, and so they'll be taking a ride. And you know, are they personable? Are they charming with that person?
Because everyone knows when you get in an Uber driver, you never know, in an Uber car, you never know what that experience is going to be. Are they going to be quiet? Are they going to be talkative? What's that experience like? How do you make conversation? Is that all kinds of things happen.
Exactly.
So we want to prepare our kids now.
And they're in New York City, and they're interviewing for numerous different jobs.
Yes.
And with an executive from Truist Bank, and what are they going to do for Truist? They're interviewing at Nike, and they're trying to also become the CEO at the next station. They actually got the job, but then what suggestions do they have to improve profits? And so that was something they could prepare for.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if the research that they did, and if they come in with some ideas that are realistic, things that would make sense, and that they're able to pitch.
No, for sure. I mean, part of this competition is definitely, a lot of this competition is thinking on your feet and how do you respond to challenges you have no clue about. But a little bit of it is preparation as well, as Kim mentioned. And we gave them some questions, some scenarios that they need to walk in knowing. And so the judges know that as well. How prepared will the students be when they get here, right? Did they do their homework?
Right.
And a part of life, too, a big part of life is how you prepare. Right? Are you prepared when you show up for an opportunity? Are you ready to take hold of that opportunity? And the Amazing Shake, the Gauntlet, is teaching those students those skills early, which I love.
Absolutely. And to prepare our students for this, it's not just right before the Amazing Shake. From day one, when students enter the Ron Clark Academy, the expectation is you do learn how to give a firm handshake, how to look someone in the eye, how to speak with confidence. In our classrooms, when our students are sharing information, when they're answering questions, they stand, they address the whole class, not just the teacher. These are skills that we teach each and every day here. And so that's why we say this is like the Super Bowl of the things that they've been practicing every single day and learning to be able to see how they can think on their feet and actually be scored for it this time, when that's not always the case.
No, for sure. A lot of folks always ask that question. Well, I want to do the Amazing Shake, and we encourage you to do so. But one of the questions is, how do you prepare your students for the Amazing Shake? And like Kim mentioned, here at RCA, it's ingrained in everything that we do. And so the advice or the encouragement there is to figure out how you can incorporate some of those skills daily into your classroom, into your instruction, into the culture of your school and your classroom, and you'll be so surprised how the students are ready for the Amazing Shake when that opportunity comes.
So the students do have a scorecard, and if we could pull that up to show everyone, CJ Wallace, our phenomenal art teacher, she
Shout
actually
out to CJ
sketched this
Wallace.
out.
Yes.
But the students actually have this scorecard with them, and they take it from station to station. It is old school. Look, we've tried it with iPads and electronics, and something always goes down with the internet. We want to make sure these scores are accurate and precise. And so the students, after each 1 minute, they give the scorecard to the judge. The judge gives them a score of 1 to 20, and then they go to the next place. We've told the students it's very rude. You don't want to be checking out your score while you're walking.
Exactly.
But the students do receive their scorecards afterward, because that's so they can see, where did I do well?
Yep.
What stations did I not do so well at?
And it'll be interesting, too, to see when, they receive their scorecards back, how well they were able to prepare, and did that reflect in the score?
Right.
And so immediately you'll know, well, I thought I prepared well, maybe not good enough because I didn't get a high score, or maybe I thought I prepared well, but my delivery wasn't quite there, and so I need to work on my delivery, which is so important why we give those students a scorecard back, so they can realize, okay, I'm in 5th grade this year, I didn't do so well here, let me realize the things that I can fix for next year so that I'm prepared for the Amazing Shake then.
Now, if you are a school and you've never done an Amazing Shake, or you've done one and you maybe want to up your game a little bit, we do have a website with resources for you, theamazingshake.com. And on there, there's everything from Mr. Clark coaching students on that handshake to we even have a sound effect of the gong ringing every single minute if you need that. How we score, how we tabulate the scores. There's how we provide community sponsors. You know, Kirk, what would be your advice to a school that's like, you know, how do we even begin to approach someone to ask them what kind of wording do you use? How do you reach out to people in the community to see if they would like to partner with you on
Yeah,
this?
most definitely. So great question. A lot of the information is going to be on theamazingshake.com. But first of all, you want to tell them what the Amazing Shake is. And so a lot of the conversation and a lot of the language that we're using is, okay, well, we are building future leaders here. We are giving them the skills, the tools to be successful not only today, but in life. And so we want to invite you to help us to be a part of that so we can get our students ready for the workforce. And every company, every organization, they are focused on how do I ensure that the next generation is ready to come and work for our companies. And so that is a conversation that we're having. And then we give them an opportunity to be involved, right? Everyone wants leadership skills to be built. Everyone wants those life skills, those employability skills. And so those are the words and the language that you'll use as you're having those conversations.
Absolutely. I cannot tell you how many times when people do come here and they volunteer, and sometimes that's what you would ask first, of course, is that someone comes here and volunteers, just gives a couple hours of their time, but then afterward, we want to be more of a part of this. You know, how can we sponsor this? How can we engage? Because this is the type of thing that we need to do more of in schools and to teach our students to be able to do so that they can be those leaders out in the corporate world. So it is an easier ask, I think, than asking for some other kinds of support.
For sure. And the great thing, too, is you already have a proof of concept, right? Because you can show videos from here at the Ron Clark Academy. You can also go to theamazingshake.com on Google or just type in The Amazing Shake on Google, click on the news tab, and see all the schools around the country. And so you can show proof of concept happening all around the country and why they should be a part of this movement as well. Now, on your screen, you see this live at the Apollo. I love it. That looks like Morgan doing a dance or something. But one of the stations is so hilarious. The students knew that they had to come in with some sort of talent, some sort of poem, a skit, a dance, or something. And I love that she's going all out right here and not at the Apollo.
That's right. They even have the stump that you can rev there on the stump.
Oh, yes.
So they did know that they were going to have that station. It was funny. They said, are there going to be hecklers in the crowd yelling at us? Because sometimes that happens at showtime at the Apollo. So, and then we see Makai right here. He's at Central Perk, which is obviously the from Friends.
Yes.
But the question there in the interview is, you know, interviewing for employees, but we're really looking for people who are good team employees, who work well together, who are good friends. And so how can you bring that to the table? And so he looks very engaged. I love how he's sitting up. He looks like he's making great eye contact.
Great eye contact, yeah.
So those are the kind of things that, you know, just without even hearing what he's saying, and we wish we could, you know, pipe in everything every child is saying, but if you see the body language, I think that that's a really important key here, is how do the students, you know, lean in, make the eye contact, engage, and really participate fully in the interview.
Yeah, and I think one of the important things that you worked with our girls on too was how to sit, right?
Yes.
So important. A lot of times our young women just aren't coached on how to sit the right way, and I love that you took time to teach them and coach them about that.
Yeah, so our school uniforms, they're adorable. They're little khaki skirts. There's a short underneath them, but so the girls know they have shorts on, so sometimes they sit like they got shorts on. They forget that everybody else doesn't know they have shorts on. Does that make sense?
Right,
So just how do you sit down and not feel awkward and that kind of thing? We talked about that. So there's, a lot of different pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And so it all works out, though.
I love it. And so this year, too, we had an Amazing Shake practice round for our fourth graders.
Yes.
Because fourth graders, they can compete in the competition, but the top 5 are only allowed to compete in our competition here at RCA. And so this past week, we had a whole gauntlet set up here at the Academy where we had a whole other set of volunteers come in and score the students on how well they answer questions, how well they engage. And so actually we will have our top 5 students from the class of 2028 participating this year.
And they are so darn cute. I wonder, how well they will do. I mean, it's very intimidating if you've never even seen this space before.
Yes.
What happens. And let let me tell you what happens after the gauntlet round.
Oh, my goodness.
So after the gauntlet round, all the scores are tabulated. We do have an official team tabulating scores in a separate location. They come in and they announce the top students. And how many are leaving the building today? 30?
Top 30.
30 are going to leave the building. They're going to be whisked away to an undisclosed location, we can't tell you yet, where they're going to participate in additional competition. From there, we'll narrow it down throughout the course of the day. And then the top students will actually be whisked away this evening. We're flying to New York City.
Straight to New York City. Right, so the theme here in the gauntlet is New York City, but then we're taking the kids on a plane immediately after that final round here in Atlanta, straight to the airport and jumping on a plane and landing in New York City for a full day of competitions and rounds the next day.
I wish we could tell you what's going to happen there, but you're just going to have to tune in to find out, because we can't give away anything ahead of time, because we don't want some students somehow to get wind of what's going to happen next, because it's all a surprise. And
it really is.
We want to make sure they have to see it in real time.
Oh my goodness. And so the students know that if they think they're going to make it to New York City, pack an extra, backpack with some, additional shirts and underwear and toiletries. And so the students have been preparing like, I think this might be my year. Maybe I'll pack a backpack. We'll see. And so if they're going to head to New York, every year it happens though, where some kids like, I didn't think I'd make it out the building, and now
I end up running to the store in New York City and getting them some undergarments. Every year, it's my normal run. Yep.
But it's so great. So as you see here on the screen, one of the rounds is they've got to figure out how to give directions on a New York City subway map. Right? We all know how intricate, how complicated the New York City subway is. And so we've taught our students, you got to learn how to read maps and give directions. And so as you see here on the screen, the students are having to do that. And maybe they'll have to do that when we get to New York City as well. Who knows?
I got to tell you, I think what my favorite station is. So there's a station where they're at the Met Gala.
Oh, yes.
And the person's going to say, who are you wearing? Well, they're all wearing their school uniforms. And so how are they going to describe their ensemble in such a way? I would just die to hear what they're going to say, talking about the design and the fashion of their wonderful school uniforms.
Well, actually, these are the finest threads from Tommy Hilfiger.
That's right. And it's interesting, their uniforms are by Tommy Hilfiger. It'll be interesting to see if they did the little research to know that, and even if they throw that in there, I don't know, but it'll be great.
It'll be hilarious. So my shoes are actually from Target, the top of the line brand from Target.
So that's a chance for them to really show their comedic talent.
Yes.
They're just their personalities, and so I think that's a fun round.
I think Carson will kill that one.
Carson will kill that round. Yes.
She's really brilliant and has a way with words, so I know she's going to do great there. So another round here at the Apollo, as you see here, looks like, is that Cyan up there doing
looks like she's doing some type of a monologue, perhaps.
Monologue or something, yeah. So
they have the hook too to hook them off the stage.
Sandman's gonna come and get you. If it ain't good, it's time to go.
Oh goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Another thing they have to do is they have to give a pitch for a Broadway show based on TV or a movie. There's a lot of Broadway shows that start off as a television show or even as a movie, and then they go to Broadway. Sometimes it goes the other way around. But so they've got to give a pitch on which show they think would be good for Broadway, what would be suitable, and why. And they didn't know about that one. So they're going to have to just come up with that on the fly and see how they do with that.
So if you're just joining us, y'all, again, this is the RCA Amazing Shake 2024. Thank you so much for joining. We're here in the Gauntlet. I'm Kirk Brown. I'm here with Kim Bearden, and we're talking about all the exciting things that's happening here this year in the Gauntlet at RCA. The Amazing Shake, it's incredible. It tests students on their soft skills, their poise, their confidence, their charisma, their je ne sais quoi, all sorts of skills here, but they're getting tested at each station on different challenges, on how they respond, and I want to give a shout out to all of our volunteers here for making this happen. So if you're just joining us, this is what you just tuned into.
Yes, and this is round one, the Gauntlet round, and the students love this. They're scored 1 through 20 at every single station. Now, Kirk, there is one thing that we've never done before, I don't believe. It's a little bit of a twist. So at some of these stations, it would almost be awkward or unnatural to try to shake someone's hand.
Yes.
The idea is, how do you give a firm handshake, look someone in the eyes? But in some of these stations, it might be somewhat awkward or unnatural. And so if they're trying so hard to give the handshake rather than engage, then that comes across as being very strange.
Yeah.
And so they get 5 points deducted. So, because what we don't want kids to walk in and just walk through life thinking, I'm just going to put my hand out everywhere. It's how is that natural feel? When is it appropriate to do so? And so
I love that.
That's a little twist. Some of them may lose some points for giving a handshake, maybe not at the right time.
Maybe not at the right time. And we tell our kids that too. I mean, from the very first moment they walk in for orientation and throughout their time here at RCA, you don't walk around with your hand just out.
Right.
Shake people's hand in life. And so that's the same concept here. You wouldn't walk up to the Delta ticket counter trying to shake the attendant's hand, right? As you're walking on the plane, you're not necessarily shaking the flight attendant's hand. So
Right.
how do you navigate those spaces in the real world and incorporate that and apply that here in the Gauntlet?
Absolutely. And if you're a school and you're thinking about doing this, but you're like, how in the world could I even do something this large? You don't have to.
Yeah.
We started very, very small. Our very first Amazing Shake, the students began in one room, and we had a hallway that they walked down the stairs, and down another hallway. And all along it, we had placed community members, and they had to walk up and greet them. But we did throw some twist in it. For example, someone turned around, they had a cast on their hand.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to try to shake that person's cast. You might hurt them.
Right.
Or they went to another station, and a woman had a box of pencils. She dropped it all over the floor. Well, does the student just leave the pencils on the floor, or do you stop? Oh, hello, how are you? And pick up the pencils and really worry more about engaging rather than just trying to get the handshake in. They met someone in an interview. They walked down the stairs, and someone at the bottom said, "What was the name of the person that you just met?"
Yep.
And
That's
so
important.
things like that. And so that was our initial Amazing Shake, which is something I think is doable for any school.
Yes.
Without all of the backdrops, without all of this cool things. But as we said, if you can get community buy-in, community sponsorships, you'd be amazed at things that people could bring to the table to help make it even more fun.
Wow.
Now, listen to this.
All right,
If we could
let's
shoot
tune
to the
into the
Apollo,
Apollo.
you
They
can
can
hear
probably
the
hear, yeah.
singing.
All right. Well, there is Makai Johnson at the Apollo. You can probably hear it in the background. We'll get up on the screen here. There he is right there on your screen, Makai Johnson. Let's see if we can hear.
I want to start singing with
I
him.
know, right? Now, that's a classic R&B song right there, Keisha Cole. That boy got up on that stage and
Look,
belted from his
Makai
belly.
is one of those triple threats. He can
Yes.
sing, he can dance, he can act, actually can play instruments as well.
Absolutely.
Very talented child. So I'm glad that he took advantage,
Took advantage of that
his talent
moment,
and
yeah.
showcased his gift.
I mean, if I was to judge, that would have been 20 points right there because that was incredible. What a voice.
I did have some kids say, "Can we do stand-up comedy?" I said, "Sure."
Do whatever, right?
I said, if you go up there and tell a good joke and make me laugh, you don't. So it's just really exciting
Yeah.
to see what they come up with.
What they're going to pull out of their hat to actually demonstrate and showcase here. But going back to what Kim was saying, don't feel overwhelmed by what you see here in our gauntlet. This is 15 years in the making.
Right.
Right? And so the very first year, you don't have to have all of this. You can just start with those volunteers down that hallway first and then continue to build on it each year as you get more sponsors, you get more folks to buy in and be engaged with it. So don't be overwhelmed. You can definitely do it year one with just some folks down the hallway.
And absolutely. And what happens is that when volunteers come here, the next year they always bring more people with them.
Yeah.
They're like, this was the most amazing thing. We're so excited. In a time when we really want to get people in the door to see what's happening, good things that are happening in schools, it's a great way to do this. I know a lot of schools may have like a career day where you have people come in, but that requires something of your volunteers to come in and to present.
Yeah.
Really, this just requires them to show up and engage with kids. And so it's really easy for them. And when they get here, they have such a good time. They see how charming the kids are. It touches their hearts.
Yeah.
And a lot of these volunteers that started off as volunteers from Amazing Shake ended up being really committed volunteers to our school. Even some of our board members.
Our board members, yeah. I mean, and even large donations, folks who came to volunteer in the Amazing Shake as a judge said, wow, what can I do to get even more involved as a donor, as a supporter? And they've made large contributions to the school just because of what happened here in their experience as a judge. So don't underestimate what can happen as a judge.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's just a great way to bring people together. Now, one important word of advice. If you have practice rounds at your school, you could certainly bring in parents to do that. But parents shouldn't be involved in the scoring for obvious reasons.
Yes.
So we have parents who are here today who are helping. They're showing the students from station to station, as Kirk mentioned earlier, but they are in no way involved in the scoring. They don't see the scores. They don't tabulate the scores. So that way, there's no pressure there for anybody. These are people who are coming in from the community who are really meeting these kids, for the most part, for the very first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, for those of you who do host your Amazing Shake, this is not your first rodeo. I'm sure you're going to be sending students to the global competition, and so we're excited to have y'all. If you host your competition, you're not aware, we do host a global competition every year here at the Academy where you can send any 4th through 8th graders here to RCA to compete against students from all across the country and around the world, which is so exciting. I mean, that weekend is just incredible. But it's happening this year from March 22nd through the 24th here at RCA, and you can find out more information on theamazingshake.com. You can register there, find out the agenda, all that great information that you need to know to get your students here. I gotta say, you gotta look out for it and bring your students, because that weekend is students have the best time. They build relationships among their peers, across schools, across the students here at RCA, and it just really is a solid weekend for those students.
Oh, it's incredible. And our students love meeting these students from all around the world. And we actually have parents from these other school districts that come, but also educators come. So educators, you can come. We even have a couple of sessions just for you. And so while they're here, it's a really beautiful time, not only to compete, but to really get to interact with kids from all over, who are kids who also really understand that they really want to make a good first impression, that they want to be successful, they want to be leaders in their schools. So it's a great time.
It really is a great time. So I want to give another shout out to our sponsors. If we can get the sponsors up on the screen so that we can show love to them. Another shout out to our sponsors, Alston & Bird, Wilmington Trust, Bath & Body Works, Delta Community Credit Union, and Sonny's Barbecue. These folks help to make the Amazing Shake here at RCA 2024 what it is, pouring into our students, pouring into the resources here so that we can make the best experience possible. So again, shout out to Alston & Bird, Wilmington Trust, Bath & Body Works, Delta Community Credit Union, and Sonny's Barbecue.
And so what we're going to do now is we're going to sign off for a short bit, but what we're going to do in a little bit is meet you down on the gauntlet floor. We're actually going to take you around and show you each station so you can get a close-up view and kind of see firsthand what is happening.
Yep, so we'll see y'all here in just a little bit. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.